Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Clangin and Banging with Mikey, episode 293. And today, what I want to talk about is I think being single is great, but what I miss about an actual relationship is actually having somebody to come home to, or having somebody to text you, or somebody that texts you, or you text them and then like y'all talk about your day, right? And what I mean by that, man, I had a I had a buddy of mine who I work with, and he knew I was seeing this one girl. This is like 2 months ago. Uh, when I was seeing her. But this he asked me this like last week. He's like, "Hey man, like how's you and that girl doing? This and that." And I'm like, "Bro, it's like, we're not." He said, "What you mean?" He's oh, like so I gave him the rundown. I said, "Oh, X, Y, and Z. This happened. That happened." And he was like, "Wait, what?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "How can she say that she wants all this intentionality? Intentional dating, thoughtful dating, and then like you go off and you actually make plans, and she ghosts you." I'm like, hey, it happens, bro. It sucks, but it happens, because it does. I'm not gonna sit here and say it doesn't suck. I'm not gonna sit here and say that I don't feel a certain way because I do. You know what I mean? Because to me, it's um, like to me, it's just interesting because it's like you say all that, but like when somebody actually does do all that, like then you don't reciprocate that energy. And then like it just so happens that I was online and I seen her dating profile. She made another one, and I'm like, I'm like, wow, like this chick is like either she's really either she's really delusional or she's just plain stupid. Uh, and what I mean by that is like, how can you sit there and like say because she said she needed real dates, intentional dating, at X, Y, and Z, and I'm like, okay, but number one, and there's a couple red flags too that like made me sit back and think. I'm like, you know, when she said like 2 weeks in, she was talking about like how she's girlfriend material X, Y, and Z, and I'm like, well, possibly, but we gotta spend more time with each other. It's like I'm not gonna throw a label onto something just because it's like, oh yeah, you know. And it was interesting too because when she said all that, and after our third date, like we were just hanging out, afterwards. And I said like, yo, like would it be too forward if I kissed you? And then she's like, oh, like that involves us being in a relationship. I'm like, okay. And so like she was trying to push that label, now that I'm, you know, removed from the situation, I can look at it. I'm like, yeah, okay, like she just out here trying to push a label on this shit, right? And it was interesting too because it's like I had to break things down to her, bro. When I say that, it's like, like stuff that wasn't, that should have been picked up with ease. She needed a fucking roadmap. And like the more and more I think about it, I'm like, yo, like maybe it wasn't her playing dumb. Maybe like this is who she is because she didn't like me how I liked her, which is fine. You know, I'm not really tripping on that because I'm not. And looking back on that situation is like, and like don't get me wrong, it sucks because it's like she said all that and then she just ghosted me, and it's like, bro, it's like that's why dating is so hard in this generation, bro. It's like, it's extremely fucking hard. It's like that's why dudes, end up just going to strip clubs or doing X, Y, and Z because it's like they looking for attention, right? And like just I like, hey, nothing against strip clubs, like I recently went to one and it's like, just for something to do, and it's like, but it's also something that's like very interesting too at the same time because I've never seen somebody say like they need intentional dating, real dates, thoughtfulness and all this. And it's not like I wasn't doing that, but I remember telling her like when she mentioned the whole girlfriend thing 2 weeks in, I'm like, oh, we'll probably get there. You know what I mean? It's like Um, but we're gonna have to spend more time together, and that right there kind of just told me like, yeah, like nah, like this isn't gonna go the way you think. It's not gonna go the way that you think it's gonna go. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, I already knew that this is probably wasn't gonna work out. You know, not that she's a bad person. You know, like not that she's vindictive or anything, because she's not. It's like I just knew that it's like, I'm not gonna sit here and like, you know, consistently break things down to people. Especially when she has she's career military. And everything too. So it's like yo, it's like how can you? And she's a chief too. So it's like she's not stupid. She's not dumb. Um, so with that being said, it's like I'm looking at the situation like this is okay. It's like bet you know. And while some people may look at that and be like, oh well, like well, it's not that serious, not that deep. I'm like, yes, it is, bro. It's like, like stop thinking that like everything shouldn't be thought through. I'm not saying overthink. I'm not saying do that. I'm not saying come up with uh, futuristic scenarios that haven't happened yet, and you being stressed out. It's like when my family members found out that my ex was still going through a divorce and everything. And then one of my aunts was like, "Oh, so like like what would you do if the estranged husband popped up here, this and this?" And I'm like, number one, he doesn't know where I live, and number two, why would he do that? His issue is not with me, his issue is with her, like they're getting divorced, simple as that. And I said, number two, I don't live in hypotheticals. I don't find it necessary to sit there and like think about what somebody else got going on. Number one, I really don't care, and number two is like for what? Like for what? You know, make it make sense. It's like, does it suck? Yeah. Does the situation suck that she's going through? But it's like I don't live in hypotheticals. I don't do X, Y, and Z because to me that's pointless. I don't I don't see the point in ever um giving in the hypotheticals because there is no point. There's no point whatsoever. And she was like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "You can't live in fear of what hasn't happened yet because it hasn't happened. Most likely, it's not gonna happen. So you just got to keep it moving." It's like you can't sit there and be like, "Oh yeah, but X, Y, and Z, yada yada yada." It's like the analogy I told her is like, "Oh, put it this way. It's like you drive your car every day, right?" And my aunt's like, "Yeah." I go, "Well, every time you step into your vehicle, you're more likely to get into an accident. There's a 50-50 shot that you'll get into an accident. Now, the severity of it, I don't know. But there's a 50-50 shot of you getting into an accident and like something happening to you." But I told her, "You still drive every day, don't you?" And she's like, "Yeah." It's the same thing with relationships. It's like you can't sit there and be like, "Oh yeah, X, Y, and Z, yada yada yada." But at the same time, it's like, okay, but what does it have to do with me? It doesn't have anything to do with me. It's like, hypothetically speaking, if I'm your concern, then your priorities and your energy is being put towards something else that doesn't really matter, you know? And that's why people are like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah." It's like, where do you get off, um, having somebody else tell you how to move and having somebody else tell you X, Y, and Z, because in reality, it really doesn't matter. It's not something that people should get caught up in. It's not something that people should be like, "Oh my God, X, Y, and Z, yada yada yada, whoop de whoop." And it's like, so what? You know? Does it does it suck? Yes. Whether it's a friendship or romantic interest or something that was a romantic relationship that fizzled out, yeah. 100% it does suck, you know. And I tell people who are younger than me all the time, man. It's like yo, it's like you just gotta realize that a lot of things they're not worth your time, they're not worth your energy, and they're like you have to leave people where they at. And it's like I found that out. I found that out in my 20s. It's like and like now that I'm approaching 40, I'm like, you know, and to me it's always interesting too because with age comes wisdom, right? And it's like, everybody gonna make some mistakes. Everybody's gonna do X, Y, and Z, and people gonna sabotage, whatever it is that that they're that they're going through. And I think that's the most interesting thing is like people say they want X, Y, and Z, and then they get involved with people who are X, Y, and Z, and they're like, yo, it's like I was telling my therapist, it's like, I was like, yo, like the one thing I realized about relationships, whether it's a friendship or platonic relationship, or even if it's just like a regular, romantic relationship, all a relationship is a mirror, like you're holding up a mirror to what this person has to work on, like, and vice versa. It's like me and a buddy of mine were talking about how his ex is blowing him up every day, and and when I say blowing him up every day, I'm talking text messages, phone calls, FaceTime calls, X, Y, and Z. And I told him point blank, I was like, yeah, dog, because it's like she had somebody willing to pay half her bills for her. Like imagine having somebody like that who's willing to do, pay half your bills for you, make sure you good, make sure you X, Y, and Z, and it's like, now you don't have that. And she's struggling, and rightfully so, And when I say that, I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but I'm looking at it like this. It's like, okay, it's like, it's just interesting because I don't understand how people can't realize that some people out here really want to help you for who for who they are. Like they're not looking for anything in return. They're not looking for anything of like there's no prick quo, prick pro quo. There's none of that going on. And I think that's where a lot of people get it fucked up at because like they're like, oh well, I can do X, Y, and Z, and this person's always gonna be here. And I'm like, no, they're not. Like they're not. People get tired of being used. They get tired of being, mistreated and played. And the reality is like, it sucks. 100% it sucks. I'm not gonna sit here and say that that it's that every situation is the same because it's not. But it's like when me and him are talking about that, and I said, bro, it's like, bro, the issue with you is that like you a good dude, and women they like they're not used to good dudes like us. And when I say good dudes like us, I mean every guy who is legitimately a good dude. It's like, yeah, like are there times where like we get out of pocket and like we just want to fuck? Yeah, 100% we do, But for the most part of the time, it's like if we fucking with you like that, if we're fucking with you on a level like that where like you sleeping over, you doing X, Y, and Z, and it's like we sending you good morning texts, and then like we doing all this shit. It's like, bro, it's like niggas don't do that for every random bitch, And I mean that respectfully, because a lot of these bitches don't deserve that, bro. A lot of these bitches is like they just, they're a fly by night situation. It's like, and it's like, it's crazy to me how like, especially strippers too. It's like, cause I know a bunch of strippers, and it's like how chaotic their life is. It's like I was like, bro, it's like you have no idea how chaotic your life is, do you? And he's like, you got no stability, no, like you out there bragging about your moves and what type of car you drive, what type of house you gonna get, and it's like in reality, it's sad as fuck. It is, it's like, and I just look at that like, bro, if you shut the fuck up and you just focused on yourself and did X, Y, and Z, you know how better off you'll be. And But yeah, getting back to my buddy when he was telling me about the situation, and I was like, bro, and I was like, but what's crazy, man, is like she wants to make it work because she don't miss you. She just misses what you had. She misses the peace and the stability that you bring. You know, she misses the fact that like she knows for like every month half her bills are gonna get paid, and now she's going now she's going 100% on her own, and she can't handle that shit. You know, and it's crazy how a lot of women would say, "Well, I don't want a man that goes 50-50, so you rather go 100% on your own." So you mean to tell me you rather pay rent by yourself? You rather you rather go buy groceries by yourself. You rather go pay car insurance, car maintenance, gas, all that shit by yourself. Make it make sense, man. Make it make sense. It's like, stop saying that you don't want a nigga that goes 50-50 with you, but yet at the same time you complain about how no man wants to date you. Like, yeah, it's like, because I'm not saying be cheap, but speaking from personal experience, bro, if a woman likes you, hell, I remember I took a girl to a record store one day because I wanted to go, and she wanted to come along with me. Like, and I ended up buying some records and some shit like that. But it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, okay, it's cool. You know what I mean? It's like, but if you out here saying, oh yeah, my man gotta make 100 grand a year, he gotta drive a particular type of car, he gotta take me on a $300-400, dinner date, the first date. I'm like, bro, what? What? Bro, I took this one girl out for burgers and fries. Spent $25 between the two of us. And you know what? I got a second, a third, and a fourth date out of it. So, all you motherfuckers that are out there saying that, well, like, I need a steak dinner. I need this and this and that. Like, bitch, shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Because it's like, number one, you can't afford that shit on your own. And number two, it's like, even if you could afford it on your own, but why you bugging me? Like, I remember once this girl told me, like, yeah, well, I can go get it from somebody else. I'm like, oh, then go get it from him. She's like, what? It's like, yeah, go get it from him. If you can go get it from somebody else, why the fuck are you talking to me? And she was like, wait, what? I was like, yeah. Because if you could go get it from somebody else, you would. You can't. That's why you're here. And that's an interesting part too. It's like people will sit there and like play themselves right out of their position. They'll do X, Y, and Z. And at the end of the day, you can't get mad when somebody does that because they're showing you their true colors. And really, and people in general, it's difficult. It's hard. I mean, it's like anybody who tells you relationships are easy, is full of shit. Or that's why it's like when people are in multiple relationships, over a course of time, and it's like, yo, it's like maybe the problem isn't them. Maybe it's you and your shitty way of picking a partner, whether it's a same-sex relationship, whether it's a heterosexual relationship, whatever it is. It's like, if you're and another good friend of mine told me the same thing. He's like, bro, if you're constantly getting left, then what does that say about you? Now, getting left is different than being ghosted, because I've gotten left, I've left, and I've gotten ghosted, and I've done the ghosting. What I'm about to explain between the differences between being left and being ghosted is like, being left is me when somebody tells you like, look, let's go our separate ways or whatever, or let's say you say that, and like you give a reason for it. Because I've told girls, it's like, yo, it's like this isn't gonna work, you know. Like I don't want to waste my time and waste your time, but it's been a cool 3 4 months, whatever it was, or 5 months or 6 months, whatever it was, however long the duration of the relationship was. But there are certain shit that people will do and say, and you're like, yeah, I can't fuck with this. And people will look at you like, wait, what? I was like, yeah. It's like, I can't fuck with this because I already know where this is gonna go, and it's not worth my energy or my time. And I think a lot of people will look at that and be like, oh, but X was like, no, it's like it's cool, it's okay, And I think a lot of people will be like, oh, but like no, it's fine, It's like you don't have to sit there and like try to justify to me, you know, what this is, or it's when people talk bad about their exes and everything too, and I'm like, okay, but it couldn't have been that bad because you married this individual, you had kids with this individual. It's like, did you not stop and think about that shit before you did it? Did you not stop and think about the consequences of your actions? Because people think it's 18 years. It's like, bro, no, it's not. It's the rest of your natural life that you're linked to this person. So be mindful of who you get into bed with, like literally and figuratively, and it's always interesting too, is like when people don't want to realize that, and then years later they realize that, and I'm like, it was never really the other person, bro, like, because after a while you can't blame the other person. You can't sit there and be like, oh yeah, if I would have known X, Y, Z. It's like, no, like you did know. How my favorite analogy that I put into context for people like that is like, I break it down and it's like it's like you've seen movie trailers before, right? And they're like, what? I was like, yeah, you've seen movie trailers before, right? They're like, yeah. It's like a relationship is the same thing. It's a movie. It's a trailer to what exactly is gonna happen. They give you the highlights of it, right? And when they give you the highlights of it, you're like, okay, this might be worth seeing. Might not be worth seeing, but whatever it is. And then when you get involved into that relationship, you're like, yo, okay, like all this shit like that's popping off. Let's say somebody's bad with money. Let's say it's X, Y, and Z, right? I'm not saying that people who live check to check are bad with money, because times are hard, bro. Like shit's expensive, Where I live at, gas is like $5-6 a gallon. Fucking diesel's close to $7. Groceries, everything's going up. Everything else is going up except for the pay, right? And I don't mean that in terms of people are like living check to check, because situations are different. I'm talking about the people who work a minimum wage job, who don't have enough money to, move up the ladder per se, or they don't have a particular set of skills or the education to get where they need to go. And it's always interesting too, because people will make excuses for the certain shit, or like they'll do and say certain shit, and I'm like, for what, bro? And I just think that when you don't pay attention to what's being shown in front of you, and you think this person's gonna change and X, Y, and Z, like they're not. They're not. I had I used to have an ex back in the day. That girl, like, it was kind of crazy towards the end because it's like she what was it? Yeah, she would show up at my house unannounced, you know. And mind you, I'm back then. I'm like I spent most of my time like well the same. I did the same thing back then that I do now. I spend most of my time in the gym, and I'm like, okay, but why are you at my house? You know, and if you wanted to come over, why wouldn't you just text me, call me, or something, right? You know, like why would you just show up to your boyfriend's house unannounced? It's like number one, it's like I'm not home, and number two, it's like nobody told you to drive 30, 45 minutes out of your way, and then you're gonna get upset because I'm not available. You know, and she would always accuse me like, oh yeah, like like who's the other girl that you're working out for and X, Y, and Z, and I'm like, you know what, like I'm cool. I don't I don't need to put up with this. I don't want to put up with this. There's no point to put up with this because for what? You know, like there's nothing here for you. Obviously, you don't trust me. So let's just keep it moving. Let's not sit here and pretend that that we're happy in this relationship or that like this is going somewhere because it's really not. You know, and it's I think when you sit back and you actually look at what it is, and I'm not saying women only do this because men do this too. We'll pick the wrong partners, and then we'll try to invest in them and do X, Y, and Z, and it's like, and then we double down, and then we have kids with them people too, and I'm like, for what though? You know, like why? You know, like why would you sit there and have kids with somebody that you know isn't worth your time and energy? You know, and isn't worth this overall. It's not worth it. You know, and you're gonna sit there and get all bent out of shape and do X, Y, and Z for what? There was literally no point. Um, and I think a lot of people will not. They won't sit there and like take accountability for this shit, but they're quick to hold other people accountable. Um, it's like people who get married and like before they get married, they see all the flags, they see X, Y, and Z, and I'm like, and they complain about this other individual after they get married. I'm like, but you knew what it was, and you still did it. So I don't really understand what you're mad about, because I don't get it. I don't understand it, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but I'm looking at it like this because if that was really the case, you wouldn't have done what you did, and you really can't complain about something that you saw coming, but you didn't want to acknowledge. Because when I say that, it's like people can see this shit coming, but we'll lie to ourselves and like we'll say, oh yeah, it's X, Y, and Z. Oh, he's stressed out because of his ex, or she's stressed out because of all the trauma that she went through, and both can be true. But at the end of the day, I think the worst thing you can do is sit there and listen to somebody who paints their ex as the villain, paints themselves as the victim. And it's like at the end of the day, it's not the fact that people want to get over on you. It's the fact that people don't want to take accountability for their role in the situation. And accountability, it's difficult, especially for women in general. It's like most guys I know, we'll take accountability But at the same time, it's like when you talk to certain women, you're like yo, you realize that you're in this fucked up situation because of what you did, right? You know, like, bro doesn't trust you because of the shit that you did, right? You understand that, right? And I think that's the, like, that's the most saddest thing a person can do is sit there and like not realize that you're the cause of your own unhappiness as well. It's nobody else's fault. It's nobody else's kuliana. But at the end of the day, it's also your responsibility to take ownership of the shit that you've been through. You know, because the older you get, you gonna live through some trauma. You gonna live through some bullshit. And if somebody told you that they've never been through anything traumatic, then they're fucking lying to you, bro. And pay attention to what people do rather than what they say. All right, y'all. This is about 31 minutes of your life that y'all won't get back. Hope y'all keeping it 4Ps, private, player, positive, and pushing. I'll see y'all next week, Sunday. I love y'all. And like I always say, know your worth because you're better than what you are. All right, y'all. Peace. Have a very good Sunday, everybody. Later.